The National Forum of Civic Learning Week is an opportunity for leaders from across America to focus on the future of civic education. The 2025 forum is co-presented by the Hoover Institution, Hoover's Center for Revitalizing American Institutions, RAI, and iCivics. Hoover Senior Fellow and RAI Director Brandice Canes-Wrone opens the forum, highlighting RAI's mission: strengthening trust in American institutions through data-driven research, policy recommendations, and advancing civic education. She introduces several RAI initiatives focused on revitalizing democratic citizenship, from higher education programs like the Stanford Civics initiative to K-12 policy research led by Hoover Fellows. Following Canes-Wrone's remarks, iCivics CEO Louise Dubé takes the stage to celebrate the growing civic learning movement.
I'm thrilled to welcome everyone to the National Forum of Civic Learning Week on behalf of the Hoover Institution and the Center for Revitalizing American Institutions. This year marks the forum's first venture across the Potomac, and we're delighted you made the trip. We are also delighted to serve as a co-host with iCivics. Established in 2023, the Center for Revitalizing American Institutions, which is known as RAI, examines the crisis in trust in American institutions, considers policy recommendations to rebuild trust and increase their effectiveness, and analyzes how they operate in practice. Rooted in the Hoover Institution's scholarship, convening power, and government experience, we operate with a nonpartisan approach. Our work examines all levels of government, including the federal, state, and local levels, as well as key non-governmental institutions such as the media and closer to home education institutions. There's also a very important body of RAI's work that is concerned with how people come to understand American institutions through civic education. Public opinion data, as many of you, or maybe all of you in this room will know, suggests that across the past decades, there's been a large decline in American satisfaction in how well our democracy is working, as well as a corresponding decline in trust in the federal government. Meanwhile, there is some evidence of recent declines in civic knowledge among young adults and K-12 students, and our own work at RAI, led by Checker Finn, who will be speaking today, found a change in how civics is covered in standard textbooks, with less attention to how the government works in these textbooks. At RAI, we believe an important part of revitalizing American institutions is rectifying these situations by contributing to the efforts to revitalize civic education. And today you'll hear about several existing RAI initiatives designed to strengthen democratic citizenship, as well as from a variety of Hoover Fellows affiliated with the center. So in addition to Checker, Josh Ober will discuss the newly founded organization. He's leading the Alliance for Civics in the Academy, a nonpartisan network of higher education faculty who are involved in developing academic programs and teaching courses aimed at civic education. So this just launched this past year. Josh also leads the Stanford Civics initiative, which is more longstanding, which is jointly supported now by Stanford and RAI, and which offers upper-level classes in citizenship. Also today, very soon, this morning, Checker Finn will be presenting some innovative ideas from his initiative on good American citizenship, and in a breakout session this afternoon, Doug Rivers and Ben Ginsberg, who are part of Checker's project, will unveil new polling data from the 2024 elections about what Americans think about civic education. Finally, later this morning, General Jim Mattis will be discussing pluralistic civic learning and practice. In addition to sponsoring the Alliance for Civics in the Academy and the Good American Citizenship initiatives that I just mentioned, RAI is piloting some other civic education innovations that align with Hoover's history and mission, build upon Hoover's strengths, and foster constructive dialogue and respect for different points of view. I invite you to subscribe to our RAI newsletter for updates on these programs. While Hoover's emerging efforts and our bucolic campus, which will look even more bucolic this afternoon when the sun comes out, perhaps those are reasons enough to head west for the National Forum, I also wanted to take this opportunity to highlight some of Stanford University's groundbreaking efforts to deepen civic learning at the post-secondary level. So these include initiatives like the relatively new undergraduate first-year course, Citizenship in the 21st Century, which is part of our first-year required sequence. So don't call it the core. That's what I always remind my colleagues, but you can informally know it's something similar to a core. This course, and it's quite popular, I should note, the course and the first year sequence. The course is designed to expose students to contested questions of civic life, model the value of open inquiry, and deepen understanding of the rights and responsibilities of democratic self-government. Stanford also recently launched the E Pluribus Project, which sponsors critical inquiry, constructive dialogue, and civic engagement both in and outside of the classroom. And last but certainly not least, Stanford is home to the Haas Center for Public Service, which has coordinated experiences that make experiential learning and public service an important feature of Stanford's education and has been doing so since the mid-1980s. Before I turn the podium over to someone who really needs no introduction, but I'll introduce Louise Dubé, the CEO of iCivics. I want to thank her and the entire iCivics team for being extraordinary partners. We knew they were an outstanding collaborative organization, as evidenced by the pivotal role they played in developing the Educating for American Democracy roadmap, and we've experienced that spirit of collaboration every step of our journey together to organize today's event. Their partnership has been an invaluable part of bringing this event to life. So once again, on behalf of the Center for Revitalizing American Institutions, welcome to the Hoover Institution and welcome to Stanford University. It's now my pleasure to introduce Louise Dubé.
Right back at you, Brandice. The collaboration with your team, Tom Schnaubelt, the entire Hoover team has been an exercise in competence and cooperation, and we're really grateful to that. So if anybody's from Hoover or from the RAI, if you want to stand up and be recognized, and we just truly appreciate everything that you're doing. iCivics launched the National Civic Learning Week about 3 years ago. We did it because if civic learning is to strengthen our constitutional democracy, we need to strengthen our movement, we need to strengthen our visibility, we need to be a stronger movement. So thank you for being part of that today. We didn't do this alone. We did it with the 346 member organizations of Civics Now. And if you are a part of a member organization, please stand up and be recognized. Thank you for your partnership. I also want to thank this year's steering committee. So if you were on our steering committee, please stand up and be recognized. Do we have anyone from the steering committee today? Thank you so much. Oh, wonderful. In fact, many steering committees do not, but this steering committee actually steered. So we really appreciate. So this is the result of their great thinking. I also want to thank our amazing sponsors without whom we would not be here, and who believed in us and our mission. A Corporation for Public Broadcasting, the Bezos Family Foundation, the Daniels Fund, the Democratic Knowledge Project, the More Perfect Initiative, Travelers Insurance, as well as Microsoft, National Council of Social Studies, and the Stewart Foundation. Thank you so much. As Brandice said, the last 2 years we were on the East Coast and we came here for the weather. But it might actually be a good time to get out of DC. I don't know about you, but I think so. When the world feels challenging, like it does today, I like to be in the classroom with young people. They make it real, right? So in February, I went into a class. Kids had so many questions. They're very curious right now. And they asked me about the flurry of presidential orders. And I asked the young man, and I said, do you know how this compares with other presidents, the number of presidential orders have been issued by other presidents? No idea. So we looked it up. Of course, he found out that many other presidents had issued a lot more orders. And so I said to him, do you know How? I asked the whole class at that point how the role of the executive branch had changed over time, and what were the economic and political ideas that had been present in that process. That's an actual Educating for American Democracy question, which Jane might have written. And we had a really interesting conversation. It felt real because not only did they understand these concepts, which I think are going to stay with them, but also because they then related it to federalism and to local issues and what they cared about, right? So it's not about ideas, it's also about what is happening in their local communities. That kind of teaching takes time, it takes energy, it takes training, and it takes support. Support from adults. Adults like school leaders, funders, educators, and parents. Which is why I was incredibly gratified to see the latest research hot off the presses from the University of Southern California. Shout out, I don't know if Professor Anna Saavedra is in the room yet, but we were really happy. People should take a look at this. She did a very thorough survey, and she found that there is unbelievable support for civic learning across partisan lines. And this, of course, breaks down a little bit when you talk about hot button issues, but overall, you're seeing levels of like 80, 90, 95%. So what we have here is we know what to do. We have support from adults. So what are we missing? We're missing a commitment to do it now. The problem with civic learning has always been not so much that it's not a nice to have, but it's the drive to make it happen, to make it a nationwide priority. Which is why our iCivics' founder, Sandra Day O'Connor, made it her mission after her Supreme Court service. This is her legacy. She wanted to teach civics to every young person because she knew that the liberties we enjoy as Americans are dependent in the American system of self-governance that we need to protect. You won't defend what you don't understand. I'm just going to stop there for a second. So, speaking of iCivics' founder, iCivics is announcing at Civic Learning Week a new prize. iCivics is announcing the Sandra Day O'Connor Prize for Excellence in Teaching Civics. It recognizes dedication, innovation, tenure, and commitment to teaching effective classroom instruction. The $5,000 prize will be awarded to an educator at an iCivics reception at the National Council for Social Studies in December in DC. And thank you very much to the NCSS for being a partner of ours. We hope that will elevate the standing of hardworking educators in the classroom today. So with that, today we're going to have a great program. We're going to talk about pluralistic civic learning, what it is. We're going to see it work in practice. We're going to hear directly from young people. We're going to explore the role of leaders in making civic learning a nationwide priority. And then we're going to break bread together and have a wonderful reception at the end of the day. I want to express my thanks to the iCivics team. If you guys are part of iCivics, just please stand up, and never had a greater team in the world. Please stand up and be recognized. Sean Healy, Maya Baker, thank you so much. Karen up there. This is a fluorescent civic moment. Fluorescent. When I wrote that, Karen was like, do you really mean that, fluorescent? I do. Thank you for your support in being part of this movement and making it a reality. Have a great day. Thank you.
Since the beginning of our nation, American struggles for freedoms have been intertwined with the pursuit of knowledge. Frederick Douglass said near the end of his life, "Education means emancipation. It means light and liberty. It means the uplifting of the soul of man into the glorious light of truth. the light only by which men can be free. Douglas, a leading voice in the abolitionist movement, shared the framers' understanding of the deep connection between education and democracy.
James Madison, the principal architect of the U.S. Constitution, saw education as a defense against tyranny. In an 1822 letter to Kentucky's Lieutenant Governor, W.T. Berry, he warned, "People who mean to be their own governors must arm themselves with the power which knowledge gives. A popular government without popular information or the means of acquiring it is but a prologue to a farce or a tragedy, or perhaps both."
Civic learning is fundamental to being informed and engaged stakeholders in a democracy. It also provides the framework that guides us in governing morally, responsibly, and rationally, as well as in placing the good of the nation above unchecked self-interest.
In his 1796 address to Congress, George Washington argued that a primary object should be the education of our youth in the science of government. He went on to ask, in a republic, what species of knowledge could be equally important, and what duty more pressing than communicating it to those who will be the future guardians of the liberties of our country?
In short, for the founders, civic learning is absolutely essential for sustaining a democratic republic.
In today's world, democracy in the United States has grown increasingly intricate and multifaceted. It is vastly more diverse, more technologically advanced, and more globally connected than it was nearly 250 years ago.
Nevertheless, the founders' arguments about the importance of civic learning still stand the test of time.
The best of today's leaders, regardless of political ideology, understand that we each have a shared responsibility in ensuring our democracy thrives and continues to be responsible to the will and rights of the people.
To develop the skills, attitudes, behaviors, and virtues of effective citizens.
Whether we are young, old, in between, and whether we are students or CEOs,
Whether we are part of online forums, civic organizations, or elected bodies.
Whether we are from Utqiagvik, Alaska, Naalehu, Hawaii, Bangor, Maine, Wichita, Kansas, or somewhere in between.
Today, this is achieved through pluralistic civic learning, which teaches us to work with fellow citizens from all different backgrounds, encourages us to negotiate differences in working towards shared goals.
Remembering that although we have many voices, we are one nation.
How does pluralistic civic learning inspire rising generations of American leaders?
it cultivates civic honesty and patriotism. It tells America's plural yet shared story. It celebrates the compromises that are needed to make our constitutional democracy work.
It's the kind of powerful and compelling civic learning needed for the 21st century. It equips learners with the civic knowledge, skills, and dispositions, habits, behaviors, and virtues essential for contributing to our self-governing society.
Pluralistic civic learning equips learners with the tools necessary to navigate our increasingly complex society. Skills such as independent thinking, information literacy, collaborative problem solving, and civil discourse. It supports the idea that civic learning is a lifelong endeavor that starts in the home and is built upon from early education through our life in our communities.
As we approach the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence and this audacious experiment in self-governance, pluralistic civic learning remains an essential foundation upon which we will continue to build for the next 250 years and beyond.
Civic Learning Week is an opportunity to reaffirm our commitment to educating the next generation of leaders. Leaders who will engage with integrity, respect diverse viewpoints, and work towards solutions that strengthen our country.
When we invest in civic education, we invest in our future. We help create a society in which facts matter, independent thinking is valued, and participation isn't just encouraged, it's expected.
Now is the time to redouble our efforts to make civic learning a nationwide priority.
Thank you. And on behalf of the Hoover Institution, iCivics, and the Center for Revitalizing American Institutions, welcome to the Civic Learning Week National Forum.